Again, how are you? Here we are on our second live of the day. Um, we're gonna have Shamica with us now. There she is. If this Instagram wants to help us out here. And there it is, easy. That was easy. Hi, how are you? Good to see
Good and
you.
yourself?
I'm doing good. So, how was your weekend?
I'm very busy. I
Yeah.
had family festivities, and then I started to get all kinds of itis, so I was pretty lazy after all of that.
I get it. I get it. Okay. So for me it was relaxed. I really yesterday wanted to go to the beach, but the weather was not helpful at all.
Hmm.
But it's okay. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and start. And for the people that doesn't know you, who is Shamika?
Okay. Hi, my name is Shamica Frazier. I'm the owner of New Birth Journey. I am a resident and forever been here in New Haven. Person. I'm also a doula for birth and postpartum and a breastfeeding counselor. I have done some work in the community by bringing forth the New Haven community baby showers. And I'm still trying to do more events and more things for the community to in support of low income and BIPOC families, especially to bring forth free diapers, wipes, and all kind of other things to give access and then some. So that's pretty much me. Oh, outside of I'm a single mom of three children, and I work full time as well as balancing a bunch of other things.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I like what you're doing in the community, and we will talk more in detail about that. But I would like to ask you, what is your biggest challenge right now as a single mom of three children?
My one of my biggest challenges is balancing between work, your career, and then of course, and trying to make sure that you are meeting all the marks across the board. So when you don't have much of a village, it becomes a
Mhm.
struggle. Sometimes it can feel almost defeating, and extra exhausting because you're trying to put yourself in so many places at once, and also just you have that little voice in the back of your head that shares concern with your children, like, am I making sure that they have all the things that they need, and they're getting quality support and love from me, and making sure that we keep our relationship strong,
Mhm.
because you don't want them to feel abandoned or anything of those natures. But then balancing that with, again, trying to have a career and working and all of that, there's so much of a sacrifice. You are really sacrificing yourself almost 24/7.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds like you were saying exhausting because you're trying to fill your own cup, but also be there for your children and trying to follow your dreams. So it can definitely be very, I don't know, draining
Yeah,
sometimes, I would
yeah,
say.
it really can be. It can be very tiring because it's almost like nonstop. You're always somewhere, going somewhere, or trying to do something, rather if it's making sure you schedule all their doctor's appointments versus making sure that you are showing up to your own events, making sure that you are on time for work, getting some rest in between that. So it can be almost like you're running a nonstop relay race where you're just like, oh my gosh, where does this ever end at? But
Yeah.
you have to build a strong, I don't want to say a tolerance, but kind of like a strong skin to be able to get through and not give up. It's easy to get
Yeah.
discouraged and feel like, you know what, the goal is, or the finish line is too far away, so you don't want to get
Mhm.
there.
What are things that you would say that are being helpful for you and your family to be able to overcome those challenges, especially as a single mom and trying to follow your dream and being able to be uh, available for them, but also for you. What would you say is something that has been helpful for you?
One of the things that's helpful for me is when my kids are able to look back at me and be like, my mom's a doula. Like they say it with confidence. Like they like love bragging on it. Even for Mother's Day, one of my son made a candle, and on it it's like best doula ever written on it. So it's things like that. Or my older son had did a community project, and it was to talk to somebody who's in the community, and so fortunate for him, all he had to do was knock on my room door. And so he was able to write up I don't know if it was an essay, but I know it's a part of a project about having his mom and what does his mom do. And
Wow.
got to sit down and ask, real questions. And he asked, how does it affect you? What do you think? So it was a moment to build. And then for my daughter, like she's a girl's girl. She's all for her mama. She's like, wherever mom goes, I'm right next to her. She loves when I have the events and she gets to meet my doula friends, doula sisters, and they get to show her different things. We have pictures of her with like some of our breastfeeding boobs that we use, because she loves to learn, and so she thinks that she can teach also.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
so
cute. So they
cute.
become a part of the career where it
Yeah.
also feels like it's I'm not robbing
Mm.
them, but they're coming into it with me. So it's not just a me thing. It starts to become a family occasion, a family um event, or a family goal to be able to push forward. So it feels good when they're able to look back at that and just be like, oh, my mom does this and I'm so proud of her, and be excited. Or when they see me in school and they're like, oh, mom, you studying? Did you get your books or whatsoever? So it helps with building with them, especially while they're in school. They have homework, so they're like, "Oh, you have homework. I have homework too. You're reading. I'm reading too." So, that part makes it exciting and rewarding. And then when you do have outside of them, those family members and those friends that come through every so often, or when they can, to be like, you're doing a good job. Just sometimes hearing that every once in a while can give you like that extra like, okay, I'm not doing this for nothing. Like I'm actually moving and succeeding and stuff. So
Oh, I think that that's definitely important, and I love how you make them part of your business and also your work, and it's a good way that they can learn, but also you guys can create memories, which I love because I think it's important. And who knows, maybe you have later on your daughter decides to be like a
she
doula
might
or
just
something like
be.
that.
She might just be, because she likes talking about it. They both do. So she might just be.
That's so awesome. And what would you say is your favorite part about being a mom?
My favorite part about being a mom is knowing that I'm their guide and their support, just knowing that we have each other, knowing that no matter what the world puts me through, or no matter what we go through or whatsoever, that those are my teammates, those are my partners, those are my little friends. Like we can get through it together, whether if it's encouraging each other or even correcting each other's footsteps. Sometimes I'm wrong, and they're like, "Mom, we're not doing that." And of course, as a parent, you're just like, hey, 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 now, like you're supposed to be doing something different. So it is amazing to be able to have that bond and that connection, even while they're growing. I was a young mom, I was a teen mom, and now my son is a teenager. So to see him succeed and make his own way and develop, to see my two younger ones develop and make their own way, but to know that we're all in this together, it makes it rewarding.
Oh, that's awesome. I think it's like, oh my God, they're growing. They grow so fast. So like seeing them grow and now like doing things by themselves, I think that's also very rewarding for you. And I would like to ask you how you decided to have your own business and be a doula and a lactation consultant and all these wonderful things that you do for moms?
So, one, I'm a mom. So, right, that's your first,
Yeah, right.
first self-explanatory answer. But also, all of their births and bringing them into this world is completely different. A lot of times you assume you have one, they're all the same, and no, each birth was absolutely different. And I learned something absolutely different from each one. So with that being said, my first one, since I was a teenage mom, I saw some of how you can be treated, especially being a BIPOC mom and a BIPOC teenage mom, of how they may not think that you know what you know or you're as intelligent or whatever the case may be. So the biasness and stuff kind of made me like, I don't like that. Like, just because I'm a
Yeah.
teenage mom doesn't mean that I'm like fully not aware of what's going on or I shouldn't have any say. The second birth was the most traumatic one, which was my second son. And with him, he had to be in NICU for a while. I also, he had to be in NICU because he swallowed his own, it was meconium aspiration, swallowing your feces, kind of. But with that, it kind of clogs up his lungs, and he had to be on this machine called ECMO, which is dialysis on one hand, and it removes all the unclean blood, of course, cleans it, and then also provides oxygen to the baby's body. So it was very traumatic watching him going through those things, and I felt like in his situation, when my water broke, it was the first sign that there was meconium in his sac, and it took them forever to actually kind of proceed to have my C-section. And because he was sitting there, and the longer he sat there, the more meconium he ingested. So with that, I was just like, it should have been more of a rush for them to
Yeah.
like really expedite the process to hurry up and get them. So that really lit a match under me to be like, I don't want anyone to not ever feel like heard or feel like they don't matter or feel like they can't do anything or don't have no the answers or anything like that. So I was just like, first the stuff when I was a teen, and then the stuff with my
Mm-hmm.
second kid. Then my last child, with her, she had very little meconium when my water broke with her. But it was enough to still make me think back to my second one. When I
Mm-hmm.
thought back to him, I was just like, I cannot subject her to that. So the doctor actually listened to what I said, and he was just like, you know what? I wouldn't put you through what you already went through. So I'm gonna go ahead and expedite this procedure. Now, what makes hers interesting, because I was 9 centimeters. They want you to get to 10 to have a baby, but I was 9, like, and almost crowning. And the doctor was just like, wait, you want to change to a C-section at the last minute? And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
because her water broke, and I don't trust that little bit of meconium I seen. And he was like, what? Okay, hold on. Give me 20 minutes. So he must have looked and reviewed my chart and then was just like, yeah, I'm not going to put you through that. If you want to change, we're going to change. But he really was like scratching his head like, girl, you are 9 centimeters. But even with me being at 9 centimeters, I still was able to advocate for myself, and I was heard. And I really appreciated that doctor, and I forever will remember that moment. So with that being said, I was just like, you know what? You don't have to kind of get bullied during birth. You can actually advocate for yourself and be heard. You can actually, stand in your stance and actually feel more empowered than anything. So because of all those things, I was just like, man, I want moms to feel that way too. And I got into doula care because you can easily go into midwifery. But I got into doula care specifically because I was just like, I do not want no student loans. But I do want to be able to help
Yeah.
moms and let their voices be heard, and them to feel safe, and all the good things, regardless of however the situation turns out. Those are very important because you're going to remember that when it's all said and done. So I started looking it up, and I was just like, oh my gosh, doula. Okay. Then I also learned historical facts about it, about the granny midwives, and how Black women have been already ushering babies into the world just anyway for centuries and decades. So I was just like, you know what? It's already in my DNA. I have these stories about my children. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go and help somebody. And I've been doing it. I want to say I finished school 2019. I started my business 2020. So I've been doing it ever since then.
Oh my God, I love it. I really think, and every time that I do this, um, I love how us as women get our maybe situations or maybe bad experiences and we transform it in order to support others and help other women or other families. And I think it's wonderful what you're doing and how you're using your experience to be that support and partner for other women and also especially for other women that look like you, that
Mhm.
maybe it's hard for them to advocate for themselves because I feel like culturally we've been taught to whatever the doctor said, whatever the police said, and yes, we appreciate their knowledge and how they've been trained. At the same time, we need to advocate for ourselves.
Right,
We know
absolutely.
our body
Right.
like how like better than anyone. So having a doula and having someone that can have that background, but also the knowledge and your passion to be out there and advocate for them and say, you know what, this is what she wants or this is the right thing to do
Yeah.
and do that push. I think it's so important because sometimes in the middle of, you're giving birth, you're having all your stress, like you're afraid or you're just tired. It's
Right.
hard to, get energy and maybe advocate for yourself or say, you know what, I don't want this, or yes,
Yeah.
I want this. So
Yeah.
I think it's having a doula, I keep saying it, is a must have while you're having, your birth. And so you mentioned that you are in New Haven.
Hmm.
Do you provide services to like New Haven County or do you just like do it
I do
exclusively for New
Connecticut,
Haven?
period. I
Okay.
already been all over Connecticut,
Okay.
period. I kind of can't wait till my kids get a little older so I can travel more with it and maybe even work with other doulas and assist them or whatsoever. It's just because it's not only just a passion, it's also exciting. It's a beautiful
Mhm.
experience. And I'm not just in, the birth lane. Postpartum is
Mhm.
important as
Oh
well,
yeah.
and making sure moms feel nourished and they're equipped, and not even just them, but supporting their families, because that's
Mhm.
another big piece of it too, is who else is in the room with them. It can be dad, it could be grandma, it could be auntie, it could be your favorite cousin, whoever's in there. I have some people with their children, they're like, well, could my children, my daughter know or whatsoever? And I'm like, yes, absolutely, because one, our bodies are amazing, and two, just so we can fully understand our rights, no matter what age or what color or whatever we look like, especially because it's deeper than just laying down and pushing. It's also deeper than after that birth moment, that first golden hour, it goes beyond that. You go into the postpartum where a lot
Mhm.
of things can happen and more trauma can happen.
Yeah.
There could be a misstep on a medical side, or it could be something that just totally shifts at home.
Mhm.
Your hormones are still on that roller coaster ride. And so
Mhm.
I know some of the doulas call it the fourth trimester, which is that postpartum period, and it goes beyond that 6 weeks that I know that we're kind of like only offered, but it really does. So
Yeah.
I love doing this. I love educating and supporting families and supporting moms. I love watching how life comes about over and over again, and how um, I get a lot of moms feeling empowered
Mhm.
after everything, and feeling more confident and feeling more aware, knowing their rights,
Yeah.
knowing that, what they can say yes or no to, and knowing that the power is
Mhm.
truly in their hands, regardless of what
Mhm.
any medical professional say. They can say one thing, they can provide, their facts and statistics, but you can take that moment and just sit back and think for a second, be like, like you said, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do it? Am I comfortable with that? Can I delay
Yeah.
this without having to feel that extra push? So I love being able to be in that room and help navigate that. And also some of that medical jargon is a pain to decipher. It's like, what did you say? And sometimes, we get judged, especially being people of color
Yeah.
or BIPOC people, if we don't know something, and we want to ask something. Sometimes they're like, oh, she don't know, or he don't know, or
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
just like, you know what? I don't care. No question is a dumb question. Ask that question. I don't care what it
Yeah.
is because you never know what the answer is going to be on the other side.
Yeah.
Um, so all you're doing is seeking knowledge. You shouldn't be
Mhm.
have to feel funny because you are asking
Yeah.
of questions, especially about your health, and not just you, your partner. I know some of the fathers that are in the room, sometimes they get ignored too. There's a few amazing fathers, one that I happened to be able to speak with a while ago, that are advocating for Black women and maternal health as well. And they're doing big things as well. And one of the things they also mentioned is about being ignored in that room. I've actually seen dads go, well, could you ask? Because I don't know if they're going to listen to me. And I have to pause the room and be like, oh no, we got a question, and give him the floor to actually get that confidence to actually ask and feel good, like, and to be able to be in that moment too and share that moment with their partner. So all of it is exciting.
Wow, that's that you touch a point there that I didn't even thought about it. And I think it's amazing. Like just having someone that can be your ally and your support and your advocate and to say like, you know what? No, 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 no. Let's just, let's do it this way. And especially people that can trust you with your knowledge and your experience and that you can be with them and say no, like, go ahead and ask or no, wait, doctor, we have questions.
Right.
It is so good. I think that's why I always say it's a must have for any mom, any couple deserve to have a doula and to have someone that can support them and also advocate for them, especially in that moment where we have probably a million questions, a lot of uncertainty, but that we can feel more at ease and enjoy the process because it's like you were saying, you can have 20 kids, every experience is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to ask you about more of the events or activities that you do for the community. So people that are watching, if they want to donate or if they want to support, like tell me a little bit more about that and how people can support what you're doing.
So one, if you see me, stop me, say something like, hey, I heard you at doula. Or even if it's as simple as like, listen, I just had a baby, I got extra diapers, extra wipes. Don't be afraid to ask me or any of the doulas that are in Connecticut or whatsoever. Usually we'll just take it in, and whenever a mama or a family needs it, we'll drop it off, we'll get in contact with them or whatsoever. So don't be afraid to say anything, of course. Don't be afraid to say anything amongst any of my social accounts. My name is Shamica Frazier. My business is New Birth Journey. You can search either one, rather if it's on Google and you just type in Shamica Frazier. I'm pretty sure so many things will pop up as far as any of my social accounts, anything like that. But don't be afraid to be like, hey, do you have like 15 minutes so I can ask a question or whatever. So that's one way to engage. As well as if I don't know something, I have a wonderful village of Zulu sisters everywhere that would love to answer questions and support, as well as with the events. A lot of our events, we work closely with Lucinda's house. Lucinda is Lucinda Canty is her name. She's one of our midwives here. She's a certified nurse's midwife. She owns Lucinda House. She does a lot of work. So a lot of my events I have done with her. There's also one of my other set of doula sisters who is Shannon and Britt, and they own Golden Radiance Village. And then they have events, and sometimes I partner with them. So we kind of all find a way to link together somehow, and then
Mhm.
we try to bring everybody out so you can have that access at a community event. I know my last two was at the Q House, so
Mhm.
staying connected with them. And like I said, just simply looking at my name and just saying, hey, I have a question, or sending an email. Like, don't be afraid
Mhm.
to just reach out and just speak, whether if it's to me or any of the other fellow doulas in Connecticut as well.
So, so then just to recap, basically, if there is a mom or a family that would like to have a consultation or just have a question and would like to reach out to you, I will put the information so they can, connect with you. But also, if they have like any way that they can, donate or cooperate
Mhm.
with the cost to support other moms and other families to
Yeah,
also reach out.
yeah,
So you guys can, connect. And I think that that's wonderful because sometimes we have a lot of diapers and babies grow
yes,
up so fast and, maybe another mom or another family needs it. So I think that's a really good way to support each other. There is a question here that I would like to ask you. It
okay.
says, do you work with pregnancy or infant loss families after the loss? I guess as a postpartum doula, let's say.
So I personally don't usually go into the lane of bereavement. I do know there are some doulas that do go into the lane of bereavement. I also know that if there is a person who's interested in being a bereavement doula, that I want to say her name is Shamica Hall, has a whole program
Mm.
that she teaches about laws and infant laws and how to care for families. Me personally, I do not dabble in laws. I feel like I'm a little too sensitive for that, and I would
Mhm.
not be as useful to the family because
Really?
it would be like a whole thing for me, and I can't fully support with a whole bunch of tears in my eyes, and this is your moment.
Yes,
So
yes, I get you.
I'd rather share that information with those who are in that lane and can do things. But I do educate briefly when I am talking to families
Mm.
about things surrounding laws, like, hey, some hospitals require you to make a decision. That is something to think about. Also, something to put on your birth plan. I know some hospitals, if you do have a loss, they make you like I want to say like almost like a gift box where you can
Mm.
keep the baby's hat and bracelet and all kind of things. That's kind of about as far as my knowledge goes with it.
Okay.
But like I said, I always I tell them there's others that do it. I know there are more full spectrum doulas who usually start from conception all the way to
Mhm.
bereavement too, that are better in those lanes than I personally didn't take up
Yeah, no,
that
and I really appreciate your honesty, and it's good that you can refer to those people that have more experience, or that have that as an area where
yeah.
they can, take care of those families and also educate them. So I think that was a great question. And obviously, I would like you to share with me all that information so I can put it on the description. And any of those moms that are looking for that type of service or support to definitely reach out and get that. Um, I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite part about being a doula?
My favorite part is watching how the mom's face light up, because there is that second before a baby is like out that they're like, I cannot do this. Usually when they say they cannot do it, that's where all their power is like brewing and they really can. It's about digging deep in yourself and going into this special place. So one of the things that I encourage with working with my clients is self-love and self-care. Because I'd be like, you are like your star player. So if you are out of the game, you are going to be tapped out of the room. So if you are aligned with yourself and can listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to your breathing, and zone everybody else out, you are in a better space because there is going to be a time. The time I'm describing is when you get to the point you're just like, I cannot do this. Like, I cannot push no further. I am usually when that fear starts sitting there and just kind of creeping up in the room, that's where a lot of your power is just brewing for you to tap into. So when I watch them go into that little dip space of time, and then I'm just like, you know what? I just need one big push from you. I need you to dig as deep as you can inside yourself and get this baby out. And they do it and they dig deep and they push. And then they look at me like, oh my gosh, I just had a baby. That is one of my favorite moments all the time. And I'm just like, yeah, you really just had a baby. And sometimes they cry and they're like, oh my gosh, I really just had a baby. And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
you did it. And then hearing that first cry and seeing the fingers and the toes and, you know, the doctor giving a thumbs up saying, oh, you know, everything's good, them going into that moment, but it is like the cutest. Well, I know they don't always feel like it's the cutest moment, but it is for me
They're like
because
all
I'm
sweaty,
like,
like the hair all crazy.
right. But it is for me because I'm like, that's what we actually been gearing for this whole time. Just that moment. It's almost like I hate to compare it to this because it's kind of like light and childish, but it's what my mind goes to.
Yeah.
But like that moment where you just learn how to ride a bike on your own. Like you don't need daddy, you don't need mom, you don't need your favorite cousin to like hold on to them handlebars no more. And you look at whatever little hill you about to go down or that street you about to go down, you just pedaling your little heart on and you're like, I did this. And it's like, yes, you did it all on your own. You got it.
Yes.
So I love it because there's like this glow and there's this moment that they gave where they're just like, oh my gosh. And it's like if you ever wonder where the power of a birthing woman is it be in right. That's where the seed
Uh-huh.
of that moment is like where she's just like, oh my gosh, like I did that. Yes, you did. You absolutely did it in every single way. You fought for the past 14, 15 hours and you got here.
Wow, and that's amazing. I can't believe like, there's so much going on the body.
Right.
And like when you're feeling like you cannot do it anymore and you just like do that last push and it's like, okay, everything was worth it. I can
Yes.
sleep now.
Yes, 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 yes.
Oh,
So
that's
I love, I think
amazing.
that is one of my favorite moments of the whole thing. Even when I see the dads have the same aha moment, like the mom is like, I pushed, and the dad would be like, oh my God. Because you know, everybody else has a different view in the room
Yes,
of what just happened, and the dad's like, oh snap, a baby is born.
yes.
So when
Wow.
their face lights up or the mom face lights up, that's what excites me the most. Because I'm just like, oh yeah, you know, you did that. That was all on you. And they're like, oh my goodness.
No,
And then it's just like, oh shoot, give me my baby. And I'm like, yes. So
yeah, yeah. Oh, that sounds so nice. Definitely. I think it's just like a unique and wonderful and special memory for you to have it, keep it for you, having that privilege to just like join them in one of the most special moments of their lives. Um, I wanted to ask you if you can share a tip or an advice. It could be from your perspective as a single mom, or to talk to moms like that are going through this process of maternity and being pregnant, and that maybe they feel afraid to advocate for themselves because they're a minority, or maybe they are young, or they don't know they don't feel confident about their knowledge. What would you say to them?
So one thing I will say is that you know what you know. One thing I think we have been conditioned to um, kind of feel for years as women, as BIPOC women, is that to not trust our intuition. And
Mhm.
our intuition be gold often. Every so often, I can admit that we be off sometimes. But for the most part,
Mhm.
we know when something's not right or when it feels really like that good feeling.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I will encourage them is to trust that intuition and go within, first. And if they're afraid to ask a question or something, of course, get a doula, ask for support or whatsoever, or even a stronger voice
Mhm.
in the room.
Mhm.
Sometimes I say, if dad is present, lean on dad's voice. That dad's voice always,
Mhm.
kind of move and shake things, hearing that
Yes.
deeper tone in the room, like, hey, look, it like sometimes
Mhm.
everybody's like, oh, like hold on, wait a minute. So sometimes leaning into that as well, and communicating with your birthing village, your birthing team.
Mhm.
Everybody is chosen specifically by you, and your partner and everyone else that's going to be in the room. But they're chosen by you of who's going to be in that room. Whether if it's your midwife, you choose your
Mhm.
midwife. You choose, your doula. You choose who's going to support you in that room. So having that communication also beforehand, having that birth plan beforehand, so you kind of just setting yourself up for greatness. So I will encourage prep, in other words, to
Mhm.
prepare yourself with the birth plan, having that communication, and again, like I said, going within and really sitting with yourself, and saying, what do I need right now? What do
Mhm.
we need right now? Especially as a single mom or even a single birthing mom. What if it's
Yeah.
only just you, and you're
Mhm.
going in by yourself? I have supported moms who went in by themselves, and I was the support. And I
Yeah.
would say to them, like, don't feel away simply because you are by yourself. That is fine.
Yeah.
So, hey, for some families, it is like that. And
Mhm.
with that being said, what do you need? What
Mhm.
is your self telling you? Do you need, it could be as simple as a glass of water. Do you need support
Mhm.
with putting your feet up when you're home? Because
Mhm.
doulas aren't just in the hospital or at a birth center or
Yeah.
whatsoever. We're in people's homes. So what do you need? How can I support you beforehand? How can I support you in your postpartum? How can I support
Yeah.
you when you're breastfeeding? Don't be afraid to just say. If words aren't your thing, write it down. Somehow we have to communicate with each
Yeah.
other so I can know what you need. This moment is for you. It's about you. It's also, if you want to look at it at a financial aspect, you paying for it. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like you wouldn't walk into McDonald's and just stare until somebody just figures out you want a burger, right? You
Yeah.
going in there with the intention like, I want this burger, I'm gonna pay for it, yada yada. So with that being said, when you have that support too, just don't be afraid to utilize what's there. I know sometimes we get into our pride and we're just like, oh, I'm not gonna ask that. I'm not, no, I got it. Saying you got it can actually be stressing you out. So sometimes
Mhm.
you may need to lean a little, and that's okay. You're not less
Yeah.
strong because you lean, and you're not less smart because you are going inside
Mhm.
yourself and listening to your intuition. So with all those things,
Mhm.
I couldn't just pick out one tip, but it had to come with a bundle.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I understand. I think
Because
it
it's
it
just so layered. So it's not just a one way type of answer. I can't just say, oh, do this one thing and everything's gonna be all right. No, go within, journal, write down how you feel. If utilize your support, say to your supports what you need. This is also why doulas try to come in as soon as you feel comfortable with having. You can have a doula at 14 weeks pregnant, for the simple
Mhm.
fact that it's great because you get to build that
Yeah,
relationship over time all the way through.
yeah,
And when you get that 40-week mark, you kind of know this person already and you built that level of
yeah,
trust. So with that, advocating for you in the room makes it a little easier and there's a little bit more, like I said, the trust. So
yeah.
um
I,
it
I, I, I think it's so important that because sometimes we don't think about how important is to, just build that relationship with your doula and that you can have her as soon as possible is even better because then you guys can experience together how is the pregnancy, how things are going. You as a mom can ask, can learn, can feel more confident about that connection, relationship, and also moving forward for that birth moment. I would like to ask you more about that, the lactation part, because that's a topic that I never talked before, and I would like to take advantage of that. Um, I think I don't know, this is my perception that I feel like when we give birth, like the default is to, have your baby for all the benefits and also the connection. You as a lactation consultant, what would be I don't know, like an advice for moms to prepare for that moment?
To lactate, to breastfeed
Yeah.
at birth. So, in preparation for preparing yourself to be a breastfeeding person, some of the things that you can do is diet is a huge part, and hydration is a huge part. Some people get disappointed because they're ready for like this big old, letdown. They're ready for this moment to just feed, feed, feed. And sometimes your milk takes a little while to come in, and that is okay.
Mm.
So I said a lot in a little time.
No,
So
no,
for
it's
diet,
okay.
um, you want to make sure that you are getting a lot of your fruits, your veggies, your minerals, your nutrients, eating things with protein, fiber, things that you should. I'm not no health coach where I'm going to be chasing behind you with a carrot and saying, make sure you eat this. That's not me. But
Yeah.
I am going to encourage you to incorporate a lot of healthy foods into your diet because you need that nourishment and so does the
Mhm.
baby. And if you happen to be pregnant with twins or triplets or whatever, you need and they need that nourishment and hydration, especially like now here we have we're in our warmer seasons. You can
Mm.
eat your water, you can drink your water. I say eat your water, you can have watermelon, cucumbers, cantaloupe, melons, all kind of things that are already water based,
Yeah.
celery, or just everything. So that way you could get levels of hydration and tea. It's different ways of getting that water in. And watch what kind of waters you buy as well. Spring and I guess alkaline is much better
Mm.
versus your standard water bottle. Yes, it may be cheaper, but you want to make sure you're actually being hydrated.
Mm.
When you are not hydrated, it can trigger a lot of things within your body, especially while you're pregnant, and especially in your postpartum to be set off because your body is deprived. I mean, when you
Mhm.
are producing, you're producing for again more than just yourself. So
Yeah.
everything kind of got to increase. And then staying on, your vitamins, your minerals. If you need to get a full panel, you can ask your doctor for like a full panel to see if you're deficient in anything. So you can up that, rather if it's up
Mm.
your iron, up your vitamin C, up your magnesium, up your zinc, which are all like essential things, up your vitamin
Mhm.
D, to just keep yourself in a healthy standpoint. Outside of those two things is also sleep. You need to rest.
Mm.
Overexerting your body you can be paying for it later. So make sure you
Mhm.
sleep. And you don't think all these things go into preparation of beginning to breastfeed, but it does
Mhm.
because you got to think it's going through a whole cycle
Yeah.
in your body. And if you're depriving something in your body, you're getting in the way of kind of what's trying to happen.
Yeah.
Also, stress. So you want to monitor what is stressing you, what is around you that's stressing you. So you want to keep yourself centered. This is why I promote a lot of self-care, self-awareness. If you're in therapy, go to therapy while you're pregnant. Like, I know nobody wants to do 50 million appointments. You're at the doctor's, you're going to therapy, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I know it's tiring, but it's just total health care. This is the time to be selfish. This is the time to take care of yourself, because again, that when you deprive yourself of things, you pay for it in the end. That even down to dental care. Like, you want to make sure you're going to the dentist, going to the eye doctor, because the baby is taking everything, trying to
Yeah.
take all of what you're offering, but you also need to have some still for yourself. When it is time for you to breastfeed, worst case scenario, it's taken a while to come in. One, you are eligible to ask for an IBCLC if you do not have one already. I know a few amazing ones personally, so I wouldn't mind connecting anybody with those. The three that's on the top of my head right now. But they have no problem coming to the room or having consultants with you or consultations with you prior to your birth, and helping you also get prepared. I know there's other things like lactation cookies and stuff like that. Again, some things work for some people and some things don't. So you just want to be aware of your body as well. Certain things become a fashion and people just think, oh, I'm just going to hop on this thing and magic is going to happen. Not necessarily, because you could be eating all the lactation cookies, but lacking something somewhere else that you need to for that milk production.
Yeah.
So you want to be aware of your body. And again, get you an IBCLC, which is above us. So there's a few letters I'm about to drop for you. There's a certified breastfeeding counselor, which is what I am. There's a certified lactation counselor, which breastfeeding and lactation kind of the same thing. But then you have above that is a IBCLC, which is International Board Certified Lactation Counselor, which means they also not only went to school, but they also are certified by the state to be a lactation counselor. So you usually find them floating around in hospitals, and then there are some who has individual practices, and which one of them that I know that's right here in Hampton, her name is Danielle Freeman, for Milk and Melanin, and that's my other boo, but she's heavy in the lactation lane, and I refer a lot of people to her as well. So get you a IBCLC. That's important. And if you and a lot of IBCLCs end up taking some insurances. I don't know what in specifics. I think they vary. So ask, hey, what insurances do you take so you can get those consultations and stuff paid for. You are eligible for a pump under insurance. So making sure you have whatever paperwork you may need from the hospital to make sure you go home with a pump. And then if you need any updates on equipment, like different sizes and phalanges and stuff like that, IBCLC can help with that. If there's a tongue tie or a lip tie, IBCLC can lay eyes on that for you and give you an idea of what's going on with your baby and your baby's latch. Because sometimes it may not be you. Sometimes the baby is kind of like, I got something going on, girl. And then while you're in the hospital, this is one of the tips that I also give with if you are not able to produce. Before you get to that, whatever hospital you decide to go to, ask if they have a milk bank there or a local milk bank. I say that to say that there are some breastfeeding moms who donate their milk and they give it to these milk banks, and the milk banks, go through them, and they're able to keep a couple bags to the side, for whomever needs it. So ask if the hospital you're going to has any ties with the milk bank or IBCLC. See if they know any milk banks that have it, or see if you can get some ahead of time. I always say, just in case, you might want to get maybe 2 or 3 packs from a milk bank, freeze them, and I'll say maybe towards the end of your pregnancy, you might want to do this when you're getting close to going in. and freeze them, keep them for a little while, so that way you can bring them with you to the hospital, just in case you need to sub out, because they're not going to let your baby starve. And if you
Yeah.
don't have any milk coming through, nine out of 10, they're going to try to give them, that Similac, that infant, whatever they have in house, so
Mm.
the baby is not hungry. Also, some just be aware too that some babies at birth, they still have some of that fluid from the sac in their tummy, so they may not
Mm.
necessarily want to eat at first. And
Mm.
sometimes we forget that. And we're kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong. No, sometimes the baby just does not want to eat at first. And it's like, lady, I am tired. You're tired. I'm tired. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't much space in there. I was like tight in there. I'm tired. Um, and so sometimes with that fluid, they can be a little bit more full, even though they don't appear to be. And that's usually where you kind of look at how many diapers is the baby producing, whether it's wet or stool, what kind of stool it is. Is it runny? Is it, is it seedy? What is it looking like? And things of that nature. You're getting more into the technical stuff, but those are some things to think about, when going into breastfeeding. And it is a sacrifice still,
Mm.
because you are still utilizing your body like clockwork. So making sure you have a supportive village as well, in the sense of being like, hey, I'm gonna need a break from time to time.
Yeah.
And if and figuring out if you want to exclusively breastfeed, meaning no use of no bottles, no nothing, or if you want to be able to utilize a bottle as well, so that we can pump, etc. There are some people who decide to exclusively pump, and they're just like, I'm not
Mm.
going to be holding the baby while I'm healing. I'd rather just pump it all out or whatsoever. So deciding those things to, play a factor as well.
Wow. I think you did a lot. You give a lot of information. I was learning, like for sure. And even things that I never thought about. I think that was such a wonderful advice to think about the milk bank. And, definitely sometimes we put so much focus on the pregnancy, but we don't focus that much on the preparation before pregnancy and the postpartum and then lactation. It's a lot, guys. Like it
Yes.
doesn't stop.
Yes, it's a lot. I think the easiest moment, excuse my French, is the making part.
Yeah,
So
right?
the easiest moment that you're gonna get, because once the baby is there and the conception doesn't happen, there's so much to start gearing up for. I'm not gonna sit here and tell somebody, okay, but then your first month you have to have all of these things already set. No, pace yourself out so you're not overstressing yourself.
Mhm.
But this is also why I say keep that journal handy as well too, to write certain things down, like month one, let me start looking at what's a great car seat to have. Da, da, da. Month two or three, let's project we get, I don't know, a hack and play, a bassinet or something, is the baby sleeping with us,
Yeah.
whatever. Just pace it out where you're not overboarding your plate, especially because towards the end, if you have a bunch of doctors, you're going to be going from appointments left and right and all kind of stuff. So you just want to give yourself grace. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to stand firm in your boundaries. Don't be afraid to say no. Saying I'm tired and I'm out of here is completely okay too. You have a whole another person, if not more, bacon in your body. So you need to give yourself grace, and if someone else don't like it, too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, like it was so good, all the things that you mentioned, because I can see how beneficial it is to have someone else that have that, like you said it like so easily and this and that, and you thought about everything. So like having that extra person that, give me like kind of a break as a mom, like going through all these changes on my body, my emotions, my hormones,
Right.
and like give a break to my mind and have this person that is an expert to just like, okay, like, keep me going, like what should I do next, or
Right.
what should we be proactive about,
Right.
and what are those things that we should be thinking about at this stage. I think it's wonderful. Guys, I'm telling you, if you are having a baby shower, forget about the baby clothes and get a doula. I'm
Get a
telling you.
doula first. And
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, even with the baby clothes, sometimes we get things like that. And we're just like, well, here you go.
Yeah.
So definitely, if anything, or put it in your registry to get a doula. Right now, Connecticut is looking like they're moving towards adding doulas into insurance. So I will be keeping my ears out for more information on that. I do not have all the details yet, but at some point, because currently doulas are an out-of-pocket expense. And some doulas, like myself, they'll take a payment broken down, so you don't have to dish it all at once. So I know that can be a lot for some, where they're just like, oh, I can't, do all that right now. That is fine. Find a doula that is willing to work with you on that. Even in some other states or whatsoever, I don't know if it's some doulas that do it here, but some barter. Like, you know what? You do eyelashes real good, so I'll give you a deduction if you give me free eyelashes. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
never know what you can do. We really try to work with the community as much as possible so they can have the support and these resources. But as far as the insurance, Connecticut is definitely looking to add doulas under their insurance policy. So again, I don't know all the deets completely yet,
That
or
would
what
be
it's going to take to get
awesome.
us all on board. But as soon as it can officially happen, or as soon as I have the information, I will definitely share. Um, but as soon as we can transition all the way into that and see what that's going to look like, and what those packages of care will look like, I will keep you posted and try to
Yes.
spread the word as much as possible. So that is a good thing to think about, looking to a very close future.
Yes.
But in the
Hopefully, right?
meantime, huh?
Hopefully they
Yeah,
do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but in the meantime, it is, as far as I know, still an out-of-pocket expense. But with that being said, there are also foundations that hold funds so that way they can cover a doula for a family that is eligible. I don't know what all the criteria are. Every foundation is different. But just some things to think about to add to your registry when it comes to thinking about a doula and thinking about, okay, how much is that going to cost? What does that look like? Or am I going to need a postpartum doula or a birth doula or somebody who can do both? And whatever else you may need. There's so many doulas have other certifications under their belt as well. Some are like yoga instructors, some are prenatal yoga instructors, some are massage therapists, prenatal massage therapists. A lot of doulas try to be so kind of, I want to say multi-certified, so many, and multi-licensed in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Just having a conversation with one and getting to know them a lot better and seeing if it aligns and work with what you're trying to do
Yeah.
and what your needs are. Is great. Take advantage of that moment. But just know you have so many options and ways to turn the corner where you don't have to feel discouraged, especially when you hear the financial part of, oh, I got to that
Yeah.
might be a lot. Listen, it's a lot of ways to get what you need.
Yes. Yes. No, and it's good to have like other opportunities. And I feel like you guys, like doulas per se, have like their own community and you guys support each other, which
Yeah.
is great because then maybe like you were doing, like maybe I cannot do that, but I can refer you to someone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, guys, we gotta open our mouth and ask for help and ask for guidance. So I really appreciate your time and all the knowledge that you shared with us today. This was a wonderful conversation. I learned a lot, and I think it was great to know more about what you're doing and how passionate you are. And I know that your children are gonna be so proud of all the wonderful things that you're doing as their mom. So keep going the hard work. And yeah, one foot in front of the other. I know it's tough, but we can do this.
Yes, thank you to all who's watching and was able to view or will view later. Please stay encouraged. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to advocate yourself. Even if you're not pregnant and not in a birthing lane, it's okay. I always encourage you to utilize your voice, and get your point across. You are important. This is your life as well as this is
Yes.
your body. So definitely feel encouraged to speak up for yourself. Stay encouraged, stay positive, keep love around you, hold on close to those who support you genuinely in your village, and
Mhm.
don't be afraid to reach out. And thank you
Yes.
for your time. Thank you for having me come out. Again, my name is Shamica Frazier, owner of New Birth Journey, and I'm based in Connecticut.
Awesome. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and we will stay in touch.
Yes, same to you too.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.